What's going on, guys, and welcome for another review here at Big Gold Belt Media. Today we are talking about Invincible Season 3 finale, Episode 8, which is coming March 13th, only on Prime Video. Of course, I've got me, Cam's collection over here. We got Damien G as well as Stevie, and that is the first time I've done this properly in 8 episodes, which I'm really proud of myself for, because
I'm proud of you.
Everything's reversed on these cameras.
Right.
So let's go ahead and let's just jump right into it. I think
6. Don't even get to a question.
all of us almost liked this episode.
8.5. Let's go.
8.5. Go ahead. Okay. What about you, Damien?
6.
Damn.
No, because and y'all thought
Okay.
y'all were gonna try to change my mind. No, I almost lowered it a half score just because y'all kept annoying me about it. 6.
Yeah. You was gonna throw a 5.5? You was gonna put in a 5.5?
It ain't that
Yes.
bad.
Yes, it got. You know what? Now that I've had a second chance to think about it, thanks, guys. 5.5.
That's Prime
You know what?
Video. I'm so sorry. I feel like it's my fault.
10 out of 10
Be
Walking
antagonized
Dead
now.
reunion. That's why. 10 out of 10.
Yeah, no, I think it was definitely a really cool episode. Definitely a lot more fighting than we've seen, or a lot less dialogue than the previous episodes that we've seen. I mean, there were some meaningful conversations in there, but there was
Not
just
really.
a lot of fighting. At some point it seemed like it turned into like an anime show for a little bit, just at all the carnage that we've seen in this show. So
Yeah.
and this episode actually picks right up where Mark is trying to is the first time he's clean up or damage control at the site that he just finished fighting at against all the other Invincibles. And as we know, Conquest has now come to Earth, and he's coming to do exactly what he does, to conquer the location that the Viltrumites have sent him to. And at this point, Mark is already distraught by all the people that have been hurt and have been damaged or killed or taken out, really due to himself being there and his presence on Earth. So at this point he says, I just want to hit something, and that is exactly what Conquest wants. When you're learning about this new character Conquest in here, you think like he is this psychotic, or did you think he was going to be the psychotic as he was in this episode? I'll start with you, Stevie.
Yeah. He was crazy. Let's talk about eating hearts and ripping people apart, doing a whole bunch of shit, and trying to antagonize Mark. Like, he wants him to fight him. Like, he wants him to get him to that breaking point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, he's totally crazy. Yeah, no.
What about you, Damien?
Psychotic. In a word, psychotic. If you want to go even deeper, sadistic. Because he was getting off on fighting. Like, you could just tell.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so prime example, we talked about Battle Beast a couple of episodes ago, just really cherishing the battle to the point where he's like licking blood off his face. Yeah, Conquest did the same thing, licking blood off his freaking body, which is disgusting. So yeah, he's psychotic.
Yeah. Yeah, and he even explained that he honestly is the worst of his own race. Like,
He's lonely.
they didn't even give him a name. He just
Yeah.
has a purpose, and it's Conquest, and that's it. Like, they didn't even bother to give him a name at all, which I think speaks volume to how crazy he is as a person, and a killer. Because even in the scene, he even says that like the only thing he really enjoys is feeling the warmth, his fist drenched in their blood. I'm like, that's
some serious.
You don't like coffee or like
Right?
like movies. Like,
Diet
no,
Coke,
you just
something.
Women, I don't men.
Blood.
great. He's Dracula. So I think we talked about this a little earlier, but I was saying that like, why doesn't Mark just kind of fly away and go to a different location, right? And maybe like save some of this carnage in here. And I'll place that question. Why do you think he doesn't think about doing things like that? I'll start with you, Damien.
Because this isn't Dragon Ball Z, where
There you
if you fight strategically, you'll know not to fight in any kind of environment that might endanger civilians. We've talked about it from jump that Mark is probably the most immature superhero in a long time. And yes, we know that it's because he's a young college student, and we talked about the growth this season, but he still hits first, asks questions later. And that was evident in the first 5 seconds of the episode.
Yeah, no, I agree. What do you think, Stevie?
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think he just wanted to fight. Like that's what he said at the end of last episode. I just want to punch something. So I don't think he even thought about where he wanted to punch it. You know, it takes a lot of planning, and I don't think he's all there right now.
Right.
No, that is not his strength at all. But it's crazy because like, you know, the same city he just finished trying to be damage control of, and all of the universal or multiverse versions of him just finished demolishing this whole city, and now he's going to get into another fight. Like, how many buildings do they have left, right? Because like I'm like, they got like a 7-Eleven, maybe a couple apartment buildings, they're gone. Like we just finished knocking the rest of these babies down. Like our whole city's gone at this point, which I thought was crazy. So in doing so, while this fight is going on, Oliver and Debbie are at home, and they hear on the news that obviously one of the Viltrumites are on Earth, and now Invincible is in this fight for his life. And Oliver immediately is like, it's up the street, I can go, right? And Debbie's very hesitant, but she knows that her son has capabilities to probably help her brother or help his brother. And she just says, you know, make sure you move fast and you try to stay away from him grabbing you. And if it looks like it's getting too crazy, you get out of there. Which obviously we know Oliver is not great at taking instructions. Let's be honest. Because once he gets out there in the fight, he's just like, all that stuff you just said has no meaning to it. And seeing that Oliver and Conquest are fighting on here, did you think this was going to be the end of Oliver in this fight? I'll start with you, Stevie.
No, I think there's more. Despite starting to read the comic and looking at it more, like I think there's more to him. So yeah,
that's my fault. My bad. My bad. That's my fault.
You got pushed to do it. So you had to look ahead.
Yeah. So no, I think he was gonna be. I thought they were all gonna get out fine. So yeah.
What you, Damien?
I wanted him to be the one to go because y'all know I don't like Oliver this season. I was like, tear him apart. They would talk about ripping bones and skin and knock his whole teeth out, spitting up blood. Like, mind you,
so
folks, I don't
like
advocate violence against children. I don't advocate for that. But in this case, a superhero show with a little shit that deserves to get their ass beat. Yes, Oliver, you deserved it. Even though Debbie told you, get out of there. Mark told you, get out of there. But everyone in this family is stubborn. So that's why he got. And when all the teeth started falling out, I was cackling over here. I'm like, good. Let that little boy find out that this isn't a game.
God damn. Brutal.
Damien believes in spanking, so I'm pretty sure of it now.
Discipline, sir, not spanking. Discipline.
Okay. All right, I got you. Okay. But yeah, no, I mean, Oliver definitely thought he could go toe to toe. He was making a lot of cracks at Conquest too. I think he called him he called him old, and he was like
ass beating or something.
We could beat up this old sack of turds. Is what he called.
Yeah, call him a sack of turd. Yeah.
And at one point he was getting ready to cuss, and then Invincible ended up jumping in the way and kind of like moving Oliver out of the way. But yeah, Oliver, I think for a second, I think he thought he was in his brother's shoes and he had the exact same powers, but he doesn't realize he's just not there yet. Or if he even gets there, because they have totally two different DNAs.
Correct.
But yeah, he got worked. I definitely thought he was going to get ripped in half. I've even read ahead, but I still thought, I was like, because we know at this point,
different.
They could, veer away from the comic or do something different, but like I'm watching him getting stretched out and pulled, and I'm like, what's he waiting for? Like he's taking his sweet time, like really.
He's savoring it. He's that crazy.
And he did say that.
I think I even wrote in the chat, I was like, well, at least he'll be taller, right? Yeah. I was like, man, this thing is absolutely insane. But at this point, I mean, Oliver is trying to do his best to kind of live up to the potential of what Mark has, but he just can't. So now we kind of cut back to another scene where we see that Cecil is actually trying to reach out, or he's going into the workshop of D.A. Sinclair, because D.A. Sinclair, as we know now, has taken the dead bodies of the previous Invincibles from the different universes and is now working on them to turn them into the zombies that he had with the people he was experimenting on in the college. And he's saying that he needs more time. And Cecil is just saying, you know what, you need to do whatever you can to get these things active, because right now we need help. My biggest guy, that's the strongest guy, is getting worked out there. Did you think that we were probably going to see the zombies in this episode, or did you think like they were probably going to save that for later? I'll start with you, Damien.
Yeah, I thought they were going to save that for later, but to whet the appetite, just to say, hey, look, we have these Reanimen of the marks, like dun, dun, dun. But when D.A. Sinclair mentioned, I forgot the exact term, but he couldn't cut through the skin, right? So right then and there, I said, okay, because this is very similar to every Superman movie I've ever seen where they try to cut him when he has a kryptonite in his chest. They can't get to it because he has impenetrable skin. So I just liked it as a tease, that knowing that is possible. And also, I didn't know D.A. Sinclair had a girlfriend. I guess even sadistic folks can have a girlfriend.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. I was like, what? He had a girlfriend?
No, yeah, it was like a quick little second that it popped in, but it was strange because like her voice was like his voice is really weird.
I thought he had clones.
Maybe cloned a girlfriend. Maybe.
Worse things have happened.
That's true. That's true. What did you think, Stevie?
Yeah, no, I didn't think we were gonna see them. I feel like that would have been much. Like, I don't know. I feel like seeing them running around and stuff like that, I don't know, that could have been a lot. But I could definitely see them doing something with that in the future. Like, they're hinting at it, and it's like, okay, we'll see what happens next season or 2 seasons down the road. We'll bring these guys out. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like they could be saving stuff, because as we know, or at the end of this episode, we see that they've obviously been gearing up to save a lot from the past 2 seasons that we didn't know they were going to bring back as well. But it seems like the theme of this whole entire show is that when you think something is done or that chapter is written off, it's always in the background still playing this whole entire time. You just didn't know it. But also in this episode, we get to see what has been going on with Eve. We find out that she's actually been in a coma for a week, and somehow she ends up waking up at this point where Mark is fighting Conquest. We can see that her mom is still kind of sweet, and her dad is still an asshole. He sucks. he just sucks at this point. And they actually find out then that Mark is invincible. And then I guess she reconstructs her leg.
Yeah.
Or because like her
almost like put a cast on it, right? She almost like put a cast on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a robotic cast that she put over top of it, and she's able to she decides to go out and now help Mark. But what we find out is that she actually is going to Cecil first to have this conversation about, I guess using the last line of defense. I believe that how they described it. And we find out later on what that is as we get further into the episode. Because as we know that, Mark derives his power from the ones that he cares about and making sure that they're protected first. So if you're going after someone that has his heart, or is that is near and dear to his heart, he finds a new level of power to be able to, win the situation, I guess you could say. But yeah, so this episode kind of smokes back out to Oliver, we already saw that Oliver got his teeth knocked out, as well as his body almost getting stretched apart. And then Mark and Conquest are still fighting at this point, and somehow they end up at this beach location. I guess it's like the edge of the city, right?
There you go. They did it. Oh no, never mind. Forget it.
Sorry. What?
No, I'm laughing because of that scene. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
It was, and it just seems so reminiscent to what
Season 1.
Nolan was trying to do to Mark, make him understand that like these people mean nothing. And once again, like Mark was, he was so depleted, I feel like, of energy that like he couldn't even fight back at this point. And constantly, Conquest grabs Mark's head and runs him through all these people. You see like bodies, limbs flying all through the beach, flying through buildings. And I can't remember how they even stopped. I think Eve jumped in, right, to stop that scene.
Stop the rampage. I believe that's how it stopped. Yeah,
stop the rampage. Because I don't think, but Mark didn't have enough strength to do anything at that point.
No.
He was just getting that first-person view of all the carnage. That's it.
Right. So Eve kind of steps in, and then we get to see now, I wouldn't say another level, but another version of how her powers can actually work, though. Right. So for her, she used her power to change the density of the air to stop.
So crazy.
Yeah, which is
Well,
wild.
cool.
I was like, I didn't realize she could do that. Like,
it's matter.
I mean, what? Yeah. That's so crazy to actually stop Conquest in his tracks from being able to fly towards her. And then she created this, like, I guess this armor that was over top of her body that we've seen previously before, but this one just a lot different. And she's creating these things out of her thought process, which are very similar, like you both said, very close to Green Lantern, but in a pink form. And Conquest really isn't fazed by it too much, but he does say a comment in there. He was like, I hear you breathing hard. How long can you keep this up, though? And I'm like, oh God. I'm like, no, oh my God, he was about to get cooked. When we see this scene and you see Conquest impale Eve and half of her face is knocked off, did you think, okay, Eve is gone? Or did you think like, okay, this is the final straw that now Mark is finally going to ramp up and probably like take him down, knowing that he already has a broken femur at this time, though? What do you think,
Right.
Stevie?
I didn't think it was her. I was like, oh my God, they're going to kill her? I thought it was like that Martian guy that transforms. Like, I thought it was going to be him and they were going to do a fake out and then like she's going to actually come and save the day. But she legit died. That shit was crazy.
Yeah. No, definitely.
So gruesome too.
Oh, her face was.
It was uncomfortable to look at. Yeah.
I was like, wow.
But she was still alive and like her eyes are still moving. Oh, no.
She gurgling and shit. I was like, damn. Get her a towel or something, Mark. Like, help. You at the beach. There's towels. Get it. What did you think, David?
Bro, okay, visceral is the word I'm going to use, and I've used it a couple of times this season. Just when we see these graphics of like just the blood, the gore, literally she had half her jaw dangling over here, like the uvula on the back of your throat. It was impressive from a animation standpoint.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at it, you're thinking, oh God, this is not PG at all. For kids, don't watch the show. This is not for you. But did I think she was gonna die? And pardon me, kids, for laughing here, because just the random fight. This is why I got a 5.5, because it was so random that her mouth was half hanging off her face. Then she starts crying. And if you've watched any shonen anime, when the protagonist sees someone that he loves dies, all of a sudden he gets a triple power up, and he went ham on Conquest to the point where my man Mark had no arms after a while, and he was just headbutting, and broke my man's face and pushed it in. How do you invert a man's face, right? So, yeah, Eve died, air quotes, for a good reason, and then miraculously, she's alive again in her pink cocoon.
Jean Grey. That's what I thought of.
That's what I said. I said, what in the Jean Grey?
Yeah, and
Phoenix Saga.
And I think we saw something like that with the Adam Eve series
spinoff. Yes,
the spinoff, right? Where like you kind of understood what her powers could do, and she kind of explained it a little bit better. And towards the end of this episode, that basically she was born, or she was given the powers while she was in the womb, and when they gave her the powers, they put limitations on how much she can actually do. But the system kind of overrides when her body is in such distress or it's in a a traumatic state, that basically it overrides, and then her body self-repairs itself. And she says she meant to tell Mark that. I don't know how you leave that out. I mean, well,
yeah,
it seemed like a plan though, to be honest with you, because she obviously went to Cecil for a reason, to say like, hey, I'm gonna go out there as the last line of defense, because we know Mark is gonna do what needs to be done if he has to avenge me, but yeah, so once she kind of like Jean Grey's into her Phoenix, and she basically blasts Conquest with this ray of light, which not only burns off his whole entire outfit, but burns off his like couple layers of skin, honestly, because all you see is just straight muscle on his body. But before this, we actually see that when Mark was kind of like, he had a broken femur, and he decided, all right, I'm gonna charge straight at Conquest because he was making a mockery of Eve's death. They do like I guess like a sonic boom punch, where we're punching Mark's hand against the metal arm of Conquest, and Mark obliterates the fake arm, but also breaks his whole entire wrist, like bone popped out and everything.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, okay, he's got this. Like, he got one arm, Conquest got one arm. Maybe we got to look, a little even match fight here. But then we see Conquest. He just loves it so much. Like, he just loves the fighting, and if it's not his blood he's tasting, someone else's blood is what he's enjoying as well. But we seen Mark had to fight a little dirty here, because he was biting, dude was scratching, he was doing everything he could to literally be the winner of this fight. When it was looking grim and we saw that both of Mark's hands were broken, did you guys think like, all right, he might need some backup, or did you think like, all right, he gonna handle this how Damien said? I'll start with you, Stevie.
Yeah, I don't know what backup would have helped. So besides Eve, because like Eve's probably like the next powerful one between any of them. So I'm like, all right, what are the Guardians gonna do? What is Shrinking Grey gonna do right now? Like, right. Like I don't know, but I had a feeling that he was just gonna push through. He was hurting Eve and stuff like that, the woman he loves. So yeah, he was just gonna handle his business.
Yeah. What'd you think, Damien?
I thought he was gonna start using his feet, like just
didn't use those at all.
Just kicking.
He just start kicking people, like, because you really haven't seen him, and correct me if I'm wrong, if we haven't seen him use his feet to do like a flying kick or something. And if you have flying at super speed, shouldn't you be able to do like at least some sort of Bruce Lee kick at one point? So I didn't expect the biting, but whatever works, man. In a street fight, whatever works. Don't let Ryu and Ken fool you. In a street fight, we bite, okay? No Hadoukens here. Yeah.
No, I never really thought about that either. Like, he doesn't use his feet at all. What if he took like a jujitsu class? You know what I'm saying? One jujitsu class, that would set him apart. He already got the power. So it's like, what if I know how to kick? Ain't nobody else out here kicking. They just using their hands. I got 4 limbs.
Oh, that's a good point. I don't think we had one martial artist superhero this season at all.
I mean, like the 2 twins at the beginning.
Yeah, the 2 twins were the only ones, and they got
on the team though.
On the team. Okay, I would say that too, because I am kind of tired of the whole like Man of Steel like fight scenes where they're just kind of like running into each other and crashing into shit. So I would like to see a little bit more of a different variation. Like when he was fighting the 2 other Voltrumites, I like that one a lot because at least they were doing something different. You got the girl whipping her hair around with the little knife at the end. That was cool, but they need to do something a little different next season. Learn to kick. That's what I think.
Just even one leg would still help.
You need something.
You don't need both. We don't need a double whammy, like just one leg. But after what we'll call the headbanger scene, where Mark smashes his head rock and roll style, bangs his head into Conquest's face, and Conquest is incapacitated, which we think he's dead. Come to find out, he actually is not dead. And but it's weird because his body was like in the morgue, right? They show his body in the morgue because Mark is like, hey, I need to see him to see where he is, because of course he probably, yeah, he's just resting in a bag. And okay, that's weird. I don't understand how that works. Because the dude's face was completely split open. It looked worse than Angstrom Levy, to be honest with you. So, or very similar, to be honest with you, if you think about it. So I don't know. And then Mark tells Cecil to burn the body, which Cecil, of course, does not.
Of course,
because
that's an asset.
That's an asset. He needs to get leverage on everybody out here, and he can somehow use Conquest's strength, mind, or intelligence, I guess, to hopefully defeat the Viltrumites. Do you think this is a mistake for him?
Yes.
To
Yes.
Of course,
I think so. I thought he was gonna make a robot out of him. I didn't know he was gonna use him for other stuff. I don't know what he's gonna do with him.
Like, even reading ahead, even if you read ahead, you're thinking, Cecil, this is a bad idea, right? It's the equivalent of putting the Hulk in some sort of box, like in the original Avengers movie, thinking he won't be able to break out this thing. It doesn't matter if that Conquest face is inverted inside out. He's going to find a way, especially if he's still breathing. What would make it worse is if Cecil brought him back to life just to get information out of him. That's stupid.
Yeah.
But we know Cecil's not dealing with the full deck, so.
Do we know what could kill them? What kills Viltrumites? Is it other Viltrumites?
I think it's whatever was listed in
one of Nolan's books, right?
Those chronicles, right? Whatever the chronicle books that his dad had written that like they thought were comics. So I know there's like a ray gun that's out there, right? That I think can kill not only them but planets as well. So that's one, but I don't know what the others are like off the top of my head though. But I know there are things out there that can kill them. But yeah, so I just don't. It's just a bad idea because once obviously Conquest has the same healing factor as Mark, if not faster, and when he gets the full strength, he's somehow going to bust out of there, and we're gonna be right back where we were when we started at the beginning of this episode, which is not great. So we jump in and now we see that Debbie is not only trying to deal with her son being in this position, and she kind of blames herself. This was probably like the most character dynamics that we saw in this episode as far as conversation, because like the rest of it was really just hand-to-hand combat and like I got witty little punches to talk about you, make you pissed off. But like this was the only like soulful meaning conversation that we had, because Debbie is kind of overwhelmed with the feeling of guilt that she put her son in harm's way due to the life that she chose for him. Do you feel like, I mean, I'm pretty sure we all feel like, her reasons for feeling like this are justified, but do you think she would take it all back if she had to? Or do you think he's better off where he is right now as far as growing up in this way? I'll start with you, Damien.
Would Debbie take it all back if she could?
Yeah, would she change like how Mark was raised? Or does she feel like, okay, he's probably safer knowing the things that he knows?
I think she would have been happier without dating a superhero in the first place. I think that's kind of what she was getting at with, signing up for this life where you married a superhero, you have 2 superhero children.
Yeah. And
this is what you expect. And your son, your oldest son, has a superhero girlfriend. So this is your life now. This normalcy, I'm a real estate broker. Nah, Deb, I love you. I love the character. I'm Team Debbie, but you are not going to have a normal life for the rest of your life. But do I think she would have taken it back if she could have? I'm sure. There's at least a modicum of doubt that she would take it back.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think, Stevie?
Yeah, I could see why she's upset. It must be hard for hard for anybody to see their child get beat up every day. Almost and doing what he does. Do I think she wants to take it all back? I mean, maybe the part where like Damien said, like marrying a superhero in the first place, but even if she didn't do that, and I think she was kind of hinting at like, I wish I would have shielded you from that side, right?
Right,
That's what she
right.
was referencing. Like, even if she did that, I feel like the same stuff would have happened anyway. They would still
Yeah,
would have came here. He was just maybe a little bit less prepared for it.
yeah, yeah,
So I feel like it would have happened either way. It just would
yeah,
have been very different.
yeah. No, I agree, and that's why I said like I feel like he's probably better off knowing what he knows, or at least was trained up to this point, because I think there was a scene in last episode where they talked about one of Eve's friends that had died, and she was just a normal person, so he could easily just been like a normal kid that had gotten bulldozered by another superhero getting ran over, but he does have these abilities that has obviously saved him up until this point. So yeah, Mark is basically out cold for about 3 days, and now he's coming to after healing from all of his wounds. I'm trying to figure out if they were having so much trouble cutting the other Invincible bodies, right? How did they cut his body to repair his bones?
That's a good question.
I mean, he's only half.
Those are compound breaks. You got to do surgery for those.
But no, Stevie, that's true, because all the other marks are also part human. So how are you?
Ah, that's right. Yeah. Duh. Okay.
Found a hole.
Plot hole.
Found a hole.
Gotcha. Okay. Because I was like, man, damn, he healing up real good. How do other guys? Maybe I don't know.
And who's doing the operation? Is it D.A. Sinclair?
Who is this doctor? Okay,
that's true. Yeah, nothing with other doctors. They have other ones.
Not that we've seen. We saw one dude tell Eve, "You can't even walk. Does it look like I need to walk?" So that's the only other
Monster Girl had other doctors.
She did. Somebody's in there. Somebody's working overtime. And then we kind of pop in towards the end of this episode. We see now the memorial or funeral of Damien's favorite character, Rex.
R.I.P. Rex.
Good riddance.
And now everybody's kind of saying their goodbyes and talking about how he was misunderstood but also respected amongst the team. And Robot, aka Rudy, which is weird because like are they sharing a brain? I'm confused. Like Rudy is actually in the robot, so the robot kind of speaks for Rudy when he don't want to talk.
Correct.
Confusing.
Yeah.
So Rudy didn't want to talk in front of people, so he had the robot speak for him and give, I guess, the eulogy for Rex. And he said that to commemorate the memory of Rex, I'm changing my name from Rudy to Rex now. So now it kind of makes sense though, because we saw the Rex of the future go see Mark, and we were like, how the hell is he in the robot suit? And now we know, because he actually was the same. He was actually Rudy, not Rex that we know. Right. Wow. They put a lot of thought in that. That's crazy. And
he has the same DNA too. He's a clone.
He does. So that's why he's a clone of him. Exactly.
Brought Rex back.
Yeah. He stole it. He stole it from
identity theft.
It's like
completely identity theft.
I mean, if Donald is back, right? Is there not a way to bring back Rex? I just feel like
don't give them.
Rex was literally.
Rex is back anyway.
Rex was literally made of.
He blowed up.
Kinda, but like we need the adult version of Rex back, not like the slowly growing up version of Rex. I feel like the comic relief is just too good. Damien begged to differ. So, but no, we kind of see that Mark and Eve are kind of just reminiscing about Rex and what he really meant to them. And Mark is really he's like smiling at Eve while she's sharing all these sad memories. And she's like, Mark, why are you smiling at me? He's like, I'm just so glad you're alive. And then, of course, what happens, when two lovebirds can't
get freaky,
hold their tension anymore.
Is that what we're calling it? The tension?
Their mom's loft. Yeah, I was gonna say tension. I don't want to go too crazy. So they go to their queen size bed in their mom's house and get it in. wild. Eve is so quick with removing the clothes too. It's just like
They
she
were
don't waste
ready.
no time. Like she don't waste no
Funerals
time.
make
There's
people
no
horny.
convo. They didn't be like, so you wanna?
She's
No.
like, hey, we both go over trauma together. Let's trauma bond. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be like, he folded on the floor every time. I'm like, he's so considerate. But there was like what was that like weird goo that was
That's what I was wondering too. The weird
it was
goo.
like a rainbow glue under I was like,
yeah, I didn't understand that
like
either.
Outfit like
Yeah.
melting their outfit.
I had no
Am I
idea.
tripping? I was like, all right, well, at least y'all saw it too. Maybe it's like the matter of her clothes disintegrating. Like that's I don't know.
Who
I don't
became
know.
one?
I just thought it was strange. I was yeah. I was like, is that oil? The hell's that? Okay. So the episode kind of cuts. Well, it doesn't cut out there, but we have several different cut scenes that happen towards the end of this episode. We see that within the sewers, or we kind of see that there's still in the background a lot more storylines that are still taking place during this main storyline. So we kind of cut to the sewer and we see people walking around, and we notice that those brain legions, I don't know what they were called. They were trying to take over the planet. I believe it was in season 1 or 2. I think it was in 2, right?
Season 2.
Mhm.
Season 2.
Mhm.
When they were in the satellite for the team, well, the new Guardians of the Globe that were trying to fight them back. And they see that now they've been building up their army and eventually, I guess, getting ready to fight and go to the surface world, you can call it. And then we get a flashback. Well, not a flashback. We get to see in another scene that Battle Beast is in the fetal position, frozen, just floating in space. And he obviously killed the two the Viltrumite that he was fighting, because you just see body parts floating all over the place. So I'm thinking like, okay, maybe I'm thinking in my head like, oh, that's Nolan and Alan probably in this ship about to get him. Because they need his help. He's insane. Like we need somebody closer to Conquest to fight against all these folks. And these two unfortunate random little aliens pick him up in the spaceship, and it doesn't take long for Battle Beast to unthaw, and he immediately is like, more fighting or whatever he said. But I'm like, damn, like you're not tired? Like,
nope.
He took his nap. That's why
he took his nap in space. He good, man. He good.
He wasn't
He's
like,
always ready.
I need a blanket. No, he's like, fight more. I'm like, all right, well, here we go. All right. And then we have another cutscene. I think it's a total of 4. Nope, total of 5 at the end of this episode, which is crazy. We see Angstrom Levy is now having a conversation with the doctors after getting his arm fixed. And now he's asking the doctors, okay, you fixed my arm, so what do you want? And they're saying that, we want a new home, but this is just the beginning of our partnership together. So that leaves another question mark for us. That's 3 question marks we got so far. Crazy. Not like the end of this episode didn't leave another question mark with Mark and Eve. And then we see that Cecil is now locking up Conquest, like we talked about earlier, and he is going to use him as an informant to gain information about the Viltrumites and what their plan is. And he's got him underground, like hundreds of feet underground.
Stupid.
He's like, he's not gonna break out Donald. Like Donald,
Not at all.
Donald was obviously like, bro, this is a bad idea. And Cecil's like, shut up, Donald. Like,
we got this, Donald. It's fine. It's fine.
We're good. We've done this before.
We have.
No, you haven't. No, you haven't.
Not,
what are you talking about? So that was probably my biggest concern, because we know at some point Conquest is going to get out.
Of course.
Yeah, of course.
It's inevitable. And if he teams up with other Viltrumites, that's not great for Mark. And then once our final cutscene that we see here is Damien Darko, who was like the demon detective that we saw, I think, in season 1, right?
Yes, season 1.
Yeah, it was season 1, and he actually got banished back to hell by Cecil, is now talking to a person we know as the Great Beast, who looks like this little old demon man with a cane, right? I'm like, this dude can't be too bad. And he walks up and he's saying like, yeah, I have a vessel for you to be able to take over that I can conjure here so that you can reign again on Earth. And I guess all of our guesses was, well, I'm not sure if we all guessed this, but I thought it was Mark that they were talking about.
No, I'm not so sure.
You're not sure? Do you think it's somebody else they're talking about? Like maybe Nolan?
Someone we may not know.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Oliver.
Mhm. Maybe. Eve.
Might be
Debbie.
Debbie.
That's all we would need is for Debbie to become possessed in season 4. Like that would be
That'd be crazy.
Bonkers.
It's Paul. Oh my God, it's Paul.
It's
bro.
Paul.
Gotta be.
That's the
Gotta
twist.
be. That would be the only twist I could think of. I'd be like, damn.
His turtleneck.
Paul is a turtleneck demon. That is
That's a great name, the turtleneck demon.
Turtleneck demon.
And that's really where this episode ends. I mean, honestly, a total of 5 questions to lead us into season 4, because there's no part 2, right, of this season. That was just
not from what I know.
That was a complete season of season 3.
I think that's
right?
it.
Okay. Yeah. So they're going straight into season 4 after this, which is supposed to be available, I guess, towards the end of the year or next year, I think.
Really?
I think so. Don't quote me on that one. But so saying that we've seen everything in this whole entire episode, what would you guys give the full season as a whole? Now, I mean, for Davey in this episode got a 5.5, but out of this season compared to the other seasons, how would you compare this one? I'll start with you, Stevie. Yours is gonna be positive, Stevie. Let's hear yours.
I know it's always positive. I'm definitely the Paula Abdul out of the American Idol trio.
Wow.
Thank you, Simon.
I'm Simon.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I'm obviously Randy.
Obviously. I think that I would give it an 8.5. I think I will.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think it's better. I did not like it as much as last season.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I would give it that.
That's fair. What would you give it, Damien?
So I'm going to preface this by saying the common theme this season that I loved was the growth on all sides from everybody, right? That's what we kept seeing. And even with those quasi filler episodes, that we covered here this season, there was still good story beats to move the story along or to give us a little bit more insight on some of the characters. So I'm not going to bash it because the last episode killed a lot of the momentum for me, in my opinion. So I will give this a 7.5.
Okay. All right, that's not bad. That's pretty good. Okay. And for me, let's see. So I thought the season was pretty good. And like you said, the character dynamics were really good as well as the character growth. The fight scenes were really well placed. It was tough seeing Mark just get
jacked all the time
so much in this season. Like the dude just my God. I was like, is he winning? Like I can't tell if you're winning or not half the time. So but it was good to see him relying on other people, not just himself, to be able to finish jobs and really try to figure out not companionship, but how to not just be the main focal point of this whole entire season. I think a lot of people really shined in it as well. I think there were a lot of episodes in there that they had. Well, there was like only one that I thought was a filler, but I feel like some of the episodes were very gray area driven, not just black and white for just, good and evil. But it showed us the depth of, what people will go to not only save themselves, but their family, as well as, avenge relationships that they might have had in the past. So I thought it was pretty good. I give it, I'm gonna give it an 8. I think it was a really good season though. So I honestly enjoyed this one more than last season.
Same.
That might not be popular opinion, but I thought it was pretty good. So I think they did a good job. Anything we might have missed that you guys want to touch on for this episode?
Where is Nolan?
Where's Ellen?
Who knows?
Where's Alan? Nolan?
They're still flying.
Where's fake Optimus Prime? Like where is everybody? Like, come on, man.
Yeah, what was his name? The
I forgot what happened to them. Where are they? Are they in
Yeah.
space?
They were floating in space last we saw them.
We need him
Did
too. We need all of them.
Where were they going? Were they coming back to Earth?
That was the plan.
I think so, right? Yeah.
Guess they're saying
Because they weren't going to go pick up the guy that like helped Alan get to his strength right now, right? I think they were just going straight to Earth.
Straight to
from what I
Earth.
remember. Yeah. We need everybody. We need everybody at this point.
But that's part of what I didn't like about this episode. It was so many loose threads that you didn't have to give us 5 twists when you still had stuff lingering, pardon the pun, in space. So you could have just dealt with that. You didn't have to drop 5 little nuggets of Easter eggs for next season. You could have just wrapped some other things up. But that's part of what ruined this episode for me. Now, because we talk, okay, so prime example, we talked about potentially Nolan coming back to Earth, the will they, won't they with Debbie, how the reaction is going to be. We're thinking, okay, if this is the season finale, maybe that's what they ended on, where it's like, hi, Debbie. Yeah. And that would have been great. Ended there, cool. You know, like a Springer episode. But now it's, to Stevie's point, where the hell's Alan? Where the hell's Nolan? We know where Battle Beast is before we know who these other two are.
That is so true.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
That's my gripe. So for those who are saying, why is it a 5.5, Damien? That's why. Because we went from 0 to 80, and then we got to the end. We sped right through the finish line, and we're just like, oh yeah, by the way, here's some more stuff for next year.
Yeah.
Wait, what? So that is my biggest concern for the end of the season.
No, I actually agree with a lot of that and stuff. I mean, like I thought the season was good, but like they definitely did give you a lot of stuff to think about for the next couple of months, you know. And there's probably other stuff in the background that we'll probably see, like the mummy, right? Like that mummy that like keeps popping
back up.
Mummy. He's gonna pop up again. I'm pretty sure he'll be back. So it's just nonstop. You know, what were you gonna say, Stevie?
No, nothing. I think that mummy's just there for comic relief, but we'll see.
The misogynistic mummy?
Yeah, he honestly might be. Yeah.
He's just like a funny guy.
I need a man to take over. Like, all right, bro. But yeah, so that is our full review of the last episode. If you guys want to see more content like this, make sure you check us out at biggoldbeltmedia.com. Damien, where can everybody check you out at?
You can find me on social media, typically at Damien G Show across the board. But nowadays, if you just want to get some more inside scoops on stuff I do, go to the Damien Gracia on Instagram.
Stevie, where can everybody check you out?
You can find me at isthatstevie_ with 2 eyes on isthatstevie_ with 2 eyes on Instagram, and isthatstevie on Twitch.
What you playing?
Still Monster Hunter.
Okay. You're stuck on that Monster Hunter. You like?
I mean, it's the new game. You know, you gotta do what's popular. You know.
No. I feel you. That's how you get people in. I feel you. And everybody can check me out at Camp's Collection, as well as Just Camp for Now on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Everybody at home, make sure you check out Invincible season 3 finale, episode 8, coming March 13th, only to Prime Video. And like I said, make sure you check us out at biggoldbeltmedia.com for more content just like this. Until next time, peace.